Hey guys, so quick review here for the day. I'm doing this late, but first green day in a while, so I just had to put in a green day, and um, I recognize a couple of things that have been going on. I guess the market hasn't really been, except for this day here, I guess, but when the market chops around like this, it's difficult to trade. I'm not sure what the options, I haven't checked like what the options people are saying about gamma exposure and whatnot, but I would imagine because of the way the tape is trading that it's like a long gamma, and it means that um, basically when we see that on the tape, that these little pops or flushes where we get these volume candles, they don't trap and then continue, which is the kind of style that I favor and I do well in, but that's not happening. They're not trapping and continuing. Every time we see one of those outsized volume candles, we're getting them, they're fadeable, like this one, for example, like it pops here into the 600, especially obviously if it's popping into a key level or a whole number or something, and it was a fade. In the end, I mean, the trend was still upwards, but the immediate trade there is pretty much all the time going to be a fade, and you had a 30%, a 30-point move here, fading this all the way down here. So I kind of switched to adapt. I switched from basically switched from trying to look for those traps and or hunt for those stops and stuff, which is sort of my style, and kind of like, okay, that's not working right now. Every time I see a pop or a flush and you're getting that outsized volume candle on a 5 second chart or even a 1 second chart because of how this thing is trading, yeah, you need to fade it. And it was working well. Every time we would get those, I would fade them for 10, 15, 20 points. That's it. And get out really quick. And I'm not worried about direction. And um, yes, in a higher time frame, when we take out the highs here, well, we did get this like breakout here. At this point, I had already stopped trading, so I was not didn't capture any of this. This would have been maybe a good long. This is, I think, Luca was belonging here, and that was perhaps the right thing to do. And let me look at the 5 second to see what I was looking at. So I was still trading it here, and I think I may have caught this flush here, and then actually I did catch that flush because I remember covering here into this VWAP um, standard deviation band, and we get that little pop of volume here, and that's where I take it off. Um, and that stems from this. Basically, this was exhaustion. This was putting some significant volume here when it was topping out here. That was testing the highs as well. So, and here as well, right? Like, look at this exhaustion. This was like trending really tight against this trend line, and then it goes parabolic here, exhausts up here, and then you see that exhaustion here, and then there was no, there was no like trap and consolidate and then put on the second pop. No, none of that. It was just a fadeable right away. Um, so I actually faded that. I didn't even wait for the break um, of the trend line. If it was a good one, and then you see how it chops around after it breaks below that trend line. So it was not easy to trade today at all. And it was just mostly when I'm doing really bad. This is something I should have done earlier, but when I go back to really focusing on the tape, ladder on the tape, because I was paying too much attention to the charts and trading purely off of the tape, and just glancing at the chart just to basically just to confirm if I ever saw a volume candle kind of like confirming what I saw at the tape. So I would always cross-reference mostly just to check the volume candles, and that was it. So for example, I'm not sure if I did this here, but this would have been one opportunity. So when we get this flush and we get this, I would have seen the prints on the tape here, and if I glance, on the my periphery and I see that we're seeing the a significant volume candle forming on that flush, and I'm fading that. It's not a significant level. Um, I guess it was. Yes, it was here. Well, not really at that point. The profile is not telling us that that's a significant level or anything, but if I saw it happen on the tape, I would go for it. I wasn't paying much attention to the profiles or levels, only on a higher time frame basis, just to know where we were. And it worked well. I also sized down, trading with basically like a quarter of the size that I've been trading with lately, and I hit my goal incrementally. So um, it wasn't one big trade. It was just I don't know how many trades I put on today, but a ton, a ton of trades. Um, just small scalps, and that's how I went about the day today, and it worked. Um, Here, even after we're reclaiming the highs here on NQ at least, and then we're getting this is sort of a breakout. We're getting that we should be getting that like melt up action. It's not really melting up. It's like chopping around. It's only 20 points above that 800 line. So not sure how bullish this is. Um, let's see, oil, which is what I was trying to trade in the morning. This is not oil. Um, and this, I'm curious. I mean, it's, some guy popped up there on the chat saying that he was building an algo. I don't know who he is, but I was interested I posted a couple of questions there about how he came up with capturing this move here, but he didn't get back. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But in any event, this is another sign because it's not just in equities. Because I had to find a reason why I've been losing so much the past 2 days. I haven't been trading equities. I've been trading silver and these commodities, and it's not a really smart thing to do because silver, these metals and commodities usually are making their moves really early in the Asia session, and I'm typically missing the moves. So but in any event, the other thing is that this sort of thing where these volume candles are really we're not getting every time we see if we see like here for example, my, the higher time frame setup for me was that we were basically trying to reclaim this area, and I guess the 5850s, which was a top here, and then also it tested it here 2 days ago. So, um, but we're testing it after this VWAP reclaim, and this is where already the volume, the momentum was coming in. Maybe here, if there's like, let me see the 5 second. Maybe here on this first, you know, after the VWAP reclaim, and maybe these, I'm sorry, here, exhaust here, and it's not really significant volume there to be like, going crazy about joining trend there. So, but this was already an extended, really extended move. So then we get exhaustion here, and we get that typical um, volume candle that I'm looking for and then see if it traps after that. And it just sells off immediately. No consolidation, no anything. I caught this a little late. Like when I saw it, it was already pushing against the 58.50, and I didn't even have um my ladders up, so I couldn't take it. And by the time they were up, this was already testing here in the 60s. So it was more like I was like, it was like a chase. I could have captured that little bit, literally the reclaim of 50 just for that, 15-point move here, but I didn't. And then I kind of chased here. It got stopped out. Then it came back down into the low 40s. I longed there, but then it dipped here below into the low 30s. So I got stopped out again. And then at the end, I end up getting in here again in the low 30s, and then I capture this, and then I realize it's topping up here against this standard deviation VWAP band, and then so I take it off, and then I scalp off of the low 30s, which on a higher time frame was an important level on the volume profile. So, and then I was hoping for a breakout here, and look, the breakout, it kind of like breaks out the structure here. It doesn't really get to the top of this wedge. It fizzles out and then chops around. It ends up doing that here, but just, we're not having that thing. So then I just switched to this is early in the morning, and this is when I actually decided to switch over to that other style, and it worked, and then every time we would get um, a significant volume candle here that happened on a little dip, and then I think I did this, and I faded that, bam, and I started just scalping. I faded that for, I don't know, less than 10 points, which actually, it was quite a bit. We get the same here. You guys get the idea. We get also, this one actually did end up trapping a little bit, but then we get, it ends up being sold off here. So this resembles more like the kind of like action that's like, exhaustion, kind of traps, goes a little bit higher, and then we get the short. But then we do get the short, and when it pops here, that volume candle fading, another fade as well. So that's what was working. In the end, then I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here. In the end, I missed this move, and this would have been an amazing trade, and I should have been. Again, the other thing is I want to start like zooming. I'm so micro focused, and I lose myself a little bit what context are we in. But look at the, how tight this this thing is, trading. If we draw a trend line there, how tight it is against the trend line. So I mean, and after all this weakness showing up here and all these pops that were not, it didn't really go. So once it breaks below that trend line, I mean, look at this. This would have been an amazing trade to take. I missed it. And then the after thing of that, after it retraces back down to take those lows, this would have been another good trade to fade, but whatever. I wasn't there. And silver, even silver, I was trading it well at the beginning, and then I did one stupid thing, and I gave back all my gains and more that I had made on silver. But here we kind of do the same thing. Um, when I was actually sticking to fading the little pops, for example, this one, bam, fade. This one, same thing. It's a wick. It didn't really, even if it's against the trend, but it's a fade. It wicks up, and then it puts on that volume up into the 81, say 100. And if you fade it, that's 200 points. So even if it doesn't look like much, but silver is, was, the tick value is really, so this is already enough. Same here, volume, bam, and then fade this bit here. Um, this would have been an exception here, and this is probably where I lost everything because I probably got trapped here. So this was, I guess maybe on this one, where we get volume here. Maybe I tried to fade that and I didn't. And then I did one of those stupid tilty behaviors where I just did not get out, hoping that it would just go a little bit lower and then turn, and it never did. And it just continued and whatever. And so I lost everything there. Not sure if it was actually here or may have happened here where I have the rectangles actually. But that kind of stupid trading behavior. And if I hadn't done that, it would have been a home run day for me. So, and I guess the lesson from today is really quick is when I l- lower my size, go back to um, the basics of really, really focusing on the dynamics of the tape and the ladder, and then just cross-referencing with the chart without paying too much attention to the chart, and just confirming here with volume candles whether to see whether if I really saw real volume printing or not on the tape, and that's about and if I go back to that and I show you a smaller size, and I just go, my equity curve for the day is very, very consistent and just goes up, 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 because it's basically um, scalping. And then, I switched from trying to go for continuation or for trap and then continuation or trap and breakout, and just if we're approaching a key level, whether it's a double top or a key liquidity level or whatever, and I see that exhaustion candle into that level, I am fading it. And if because I know the traps are not happening, and if I do get trapped, okay, I get stopped out, and then I fade it back up, back on the top. And this is actually forcing me to start trying that trade that I've been saying for a long time that I want to start trying, which is a short off of the exhaustion from the top. So I'm always sort of joining trend and longing into that exhaustion into the top for the final pop. But then comes the short, and that's the one I always miss. And today I was like, that's the one that I was focusing on. So, anyways, um, that's it.